Здравствуйте. С вами
Greetings. We're happy to welcome you on the live broadcast of the breaking news on Latter TV. Watch in this episode.
С каждым днем все больше людей
Every day, more and more people are facing the destructive power of natural disasters. And what to expect next if humanity remains in the consumer format? What the participants of the conference courageously stated in the conference Global Crisis, This Already Affects Everyone, during the almost 12-hour live broadcast is simply shocking. Today, Alla Moskalenko, a participant of the conference, is with us. Hello, Alla.
Hello. On July 24th, I had the honor of participating in the international online conference Global Crisis, This Already Affects Everyone on Alatra TV. In my report, in addition to the main topic, I mentioned climate change in Italy, in particular the recent hail that fell in the north of the country. Only a week has passed since the conference, and during this time, many cataclysms have occurred in Italy again. On July 22nd and 23rd, strong winds toppled trees and tore off dozens of roofs in several cities in the province of Brescia. On July 25th, a strong storm with huge hail hit the north of the country. The main blow fell on the city of Parma. Size of some hailstones reached 10 centimeters. The storm caused a lot of accidents. As a result, several people were injured. Hundreds of car drivers were stuck on one of the main highways of the country. The traffic was paralyzed for several hours. On July 27th, the cities around Lake Como were affected by landslides and floods. Torrential rains turned roads into rivers. In Brianna, 50 residents were trapped in their homes when a landslide caused a gas leak. Firefighters conducted more than 60 rescue operations. The evacuation of the population was also carried out. At the same time, on July 24th and 25th, destructive forest fires caused by strong and hot winds quickly spread across some parts of the island of Sardinia. More than 1,500 people have left their homes. Entire forests were completely destroyed. Businesses and homes were destroyed. A huge number of livestock died in the fire. This situation is unprecedented in the history of Sardinia. As of July 26, 20,000 hectares of forest, which represent a century-old ecological history of the island, turned into ashes. I would also like to add that after participating in the conference Global Crisis, This Already Affects Everyone, which was broadcast on thousands of online platforms and simultaneously interpreted by volunteers into 72 languages, including sign language translation, I realized one thing, that we're all on the verge of death, and in today's consumer format of society, where everyone thinks only about himself, we will not be able to survive. Only by uniting our potential, we will be able to change the situation and overcome all the threats that our civilization is facing now. Thank you for your attention.
Спасибо, Алла. Действительно, очень
Thank you,
важно.
Ala. Indeed, it is very important to know about the real state of the climate. At the conference, for the first time, I heard facts about threats to humanity collected just in one place. The comprehensive approach, the level of training and the quality of the material itself are striking. After what you have seen, you clearly understand your personal responsibility to share this information with everyone, because it can save the lives of billions of people.
На этой неделе нам удалось связаться с
This
очевидцем.
week we managed to contact an eyewitness from Belgium. He shared with us his observations about a large-scale flood that unexpectedly overtook the citizens of the country in mid-July.
I am working and living at the moment in Belgium, the city of Henan. I became an eyewitness of the flood on the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. It seems, to be precise. And I wanted to share, of course. The impressions are not easy to say. When the water began to rise higher and higher, you start to worry. You think, damn, there are, 80 centimeters left to the second floor. What to do if there's no third floor? What are you going to do? You start to forget already about these things, about money, about all this, and you think, well, it doesn't matter. What I liked was that the three of us got into such a mess. You can say such a disaster, and no one was panicking. Maybe the guys had something like this in their hearts, but I didn't see it by the expression on their faces. I didn't notice anyone panicking. Everyone held on. Well done. I was more worried about the neighboring house where two couples were. The girl was pregnant, 7 months pregnant. Here, I was more worried about her, but when she was rescued by a helicopter, this was also the first time I saw this. I realized that the situation is not easy, and even rescuers will have a hard time getting to us because we are near the river. This river. When we came to work there, I observed salmon there, small trout. Such a death. I went into the river myself. I washed my feet. It is literally 20 meters wide. And at that moment, when exactly the scale of the flood occurred, the river probably became about 60 meters wide, and its depth, well, if the river went a meter, the neighboring house just to the south of us is literally 10 meters. There were already 2 meters in the kitchen. The river has become about 3 to 4 meters deep. Of course I was shocked. In such a situation, there was a stalemate that, as if for me, it was not there, a meter of water in the house on the first floor. Yes, the water is icy. Even there is a video of how I went there from the refrigerator. What was floating? I was collecting the last food, because I didn't know how long it would turn around at all. This cataclysm, how long it will rain at all, and how much water will arrive. After the third day, when we jumped out into the city, when we saw that 2 houses were not there at all, they were demolished, that the asphalt was torn right up to a meter. There are such holes there. I was really shocked. It was then that I realized that we are currently in a critical situation. Yes, our second floor is also free, as it were. We were still lying. Yes, we can't move around. We can't go outside. We can't even go to the first floor. We can be on the second one, but people had a worse situation. There was no light. There was no electricity for 3 days. The phone was okay at first, and then it got discharged. And I remember that I have a power bank, and it is still somehow 50% active, and no one had a connection. Just couldn't shoot that video of a helicopter rescuing a girl from the neighboring house since we were rescued by rescuers. It was already on the 3rd day. Everything is increasing. All the cataclysms. Here now we are literally in Belgium. Now there was another flood in another region. Again. Literally. Here I watched it on TV. I notice it everywhere. Not only in Europe, but all over the planet. All over the planet. It's all visible, obviously. In fact, I don't know how it will increase. People don't understand this. If they understood, they would be aware. Maybe they realize that they can't do anything, but someone may want to do something. Well, they don't really do it. I watch the news every week. What happened there during the week. What floods, what earthquakes, what volcanoes occurred there. I'm following this, and I'm really surprised how this is happening more and more often. As an ordinary witness, of course, and having been in such a situation for the first time, of course, it will give me life experience, as well as to the guys too. They are also in shock, of course.
Не успели жители Бельгии
No sooner had the citizens of Belgium come to their senses from the previous catastrophic flood, than 10 days later the forces of nature again hit the country. Natural disasters also occurred in Switzerland, Great Britain, Turkey and Ukraine. Watch the details further from the reporters of Latter TV.
This is an Latter TV reporter from the UK. On July 21st, 2021, for the first time in the last 167 years, an orange warning of severe heat was declared for the large area of Wales, as well as central, western and southern regions of England. In these regions, the indicators of thermometers exceeded the mark of plus 30 degrees Celsius. Meteorologists have made a new heat warning service. Scientists believe that timely alerts will help change people's attitude to rising temperatures and thereby save human lives. Since last summer, during the 3 heat waves, there have been a lot of casualties from the heat. There have been no such consequences in the country for about 18 years. On July 25th, after record-breaking hot days, torrential rains hit the streets of London, which led to flooding of streets, roads and transport interchanges. The areas of Clapham and Camberwell were the most affected. Several underground stations and the car tunnel were closed due to flooding. In the lowlands of the city, where the water flowed, the cars almost completely disappeared under the water. Emergency services used boats to rescue the drivers. On the same day, heavy rains with the hail and thunderstorms led to flooding of the streets of Switzerland. The cantons of Lucerne and Zug suffered the greatest damage from the flood. Several highways were blocked due to the large amount of water. Basements and the first floors of buildings were also underwater. Infrastructure and residential buildings were damaged. On July 21st, Belgium was hit by heavy rains for the second time this month, which caused large-scale floods. This time, the flood affected 10 districts. In some places, the water depths on the roads exceeded 50 centimeters, while land streams washed cars off the highway, washed away the road surface. Railway tracks were blocked with pieces of pavement. Floodwaters also damaged coastal fortifications along the rivers. Some bridges became unusable. In order to ensure the safety of life, the population was evacuated.
Здравствуйте, с вами репортер
Hello, this is an Latter TV reporter from Ukraine. In mid-July 2021, a series of cataclysms in Ukraine covered 17 regions. Unfortunately, in some places, this led to the fatalities. During one period, Ukraine has not yet seen such a number of flooding, hail and tornadoes. On July the 19th, a heavy downpour hit Kiev, which was accompanied by gusty winds and frequent lightning. The amount of water that fell out led to the flooding of residential buildings, highways and some underground stations. The next day, the forces of nature struck other regions of Ukraine. In Kropivnitsky city, precipitation led to flooding of houses and streets, and the electric switchboards flooded with water left the residents of the city without light. In Yuzhno-Ukraine of the Nikolaev area, there was a heavy downpour and hail the size of a chicken egg fell out. It caused damage to a lot of cars. According to local residents, he has never seen such huge hailstones here. In Odessa, a powerful downpour flooded most of the city streets. Water flooded many houses, and as a result, rescue operations were carried out. People left their homes waist deep in water without things, food, and in uncertainty about what would happen next. The flow of water was so strong that it simply knocked people off their feet. Dozens of trees fell due to the flood, and there was no electricity in some areas. In Krylovka, in the Zaporozhye region, a powerful tornado was recorded. Fortunately, it happened to the sea, and none of the people were injured. This natural phenomenon, unusual for this area, began to occur here more and more often. And this once again proves the fact that global climate change is currently taking place on our planet. Therefore, it is very important for us to build the creative society together. After all, it is in the creative society that we have a real chance to survive.
Hello, this is an Alatra TV reporter from Turkey. On July 28, 2021, Turkey was engulfed by forest fires. The flames spread to huge territories from the city of Manavgat to Alanya. The area covered by the fire quickly increased due to the strong wind. Eyewitnesses report that the fire has already reached hotels and residential buildings. Evacuation of people was carried out in Manavgat. planes and helicopters are involved in extinguishing the fire. Earlier, on the night of July 27, heavy rains caused flash flooding in Gudauta and Gudauta district. The level of local rivers has risen to almost 2 meters. The water flooded more than 350 houses and homesteads. In some places, the population was evacuated. Electricity supply and transport links were the highest value on Earth is human life, and the increase in climate disasters threatens the lives of all people on the planet. That is why both people and scientists in different countries of the world see a way out of the climate crisis precisely in realizing the value and importance of every person's life, regardless of skin color, nationality, and religion. After all, only on the basis of this basic and fundamental understanding will we, the people of the planet Earth, be able to survive. On July 24, 2021, the international online conference Global Crisis, This Already Affects Everyone, which was organized by the efforts of volunteers from around the world, took place on the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement. Simultaneous interpreting was carried out in more than 72 languages. At this conference, the issues of radical changes in all spheres of life in the near future for every person on the planet Earth were studied. The world is in a difficult crisis situation. The task of humanity is to get out of it by building the creative society where human life is the highest value.
Сильные дожди и наводнения в
Heavy
центральной
rains and floods in the central Chinese province of Henan from July the 20th to the 26th affected the lives of almost 13 million people. More than 1,300,000 people were forced to leave their homes. Almost 25,000 houses were seriously damaged or destroyed. Residents of other provinces of China also faced the consequences of the forces of nature. The topic will be continued by an ALLATRA TV reporter from China.
Здравствуйте, с вами репортер АЛЛАТРА ТВ Иван.
Hello.
25 июля 2021
This is ALLATRA TV reporter from China. On July the 25th, 2021, Typhoon Ying-Fa hit the coast of Zhoushan city in the eastern Chinese province of Zhejiang. According to the Chinese Meteorological Administration, during the landfall, the maximum wind speed in the typhoon was 137 km per hour. Schools, markets and businesses were closed the day before. More than 1.5 million people were evacuated. The wind was so strong that it swept people off their feet, destroyed infrastructure and broke trees. A flood alert was declared in most 30 cities of the province. A powerful wind was also felt in Shanghai, where about 450,000 people were evacuated. Hundreds of flights were cancelled, railway and port operations were stopped. On the same day, a powerful sandstorm hit Gansu province. In a matter of minutes, clouds of dust covered the towns. In some places, the sand wall rose to a height of at least 100 meters. Visibility on the street fell as much as possible. Traffic had to be blocked to avoid consequences. Fortunately, no serious damage was reported. Earlier, on July the 21st, a destructive tornado swept through the province of Hebei in the north of the country. Unfortunately, there were casualties. Several enterprises, electricity networks and a gas pipeline were damaged. I would also like to add for myself, as you can see, there is an increase in natural disasters now. Of course, we need to do something about it, and the Creative Society project is aimed precisely at this, so that we become more intelligent, so that we become more given, more creative, constructive. And, of course, in order for us to build a society in which there will be no wars, no strife, there will be no shortage of food and water, we need to unite together. We need to spread information about what is happening in the world. Use social media. Let's not be silent. Let's openly declare what is happening in the world right now. To reach the hearts of people. And thank you all very much.
В конце июля внезапное
At the end of
наводнение
July, a flash flood washed away a bus with people in Kano state in Nigeria. Unfortunately, there were dead and injured. Also, flood waters flooded houses, pets were injured, food was destroyed.
о наводнениях и
For more information about floods and landslides in India, Yemen and Bangladesh, see the story below.
Heavy rains on July 21st hit the central part of India, causing flooding in the states of Maharashtra and Telangana. The city of Chiplun was particularly affected, where the Vashishti River overflowed its banks, flooding residential areas. More than 1,000 people were forced to leave their homes. They encountered one of the most serious floods in the history of their city. In addition to flooding, heavy rains in the state of Maharashtra caused landslides, which unfortunately caused fatalities. Also, in mid-July, over the north of India, in the state of Haryana, a piece of land literally began to rise out of the water in front of people. Fortunately, no one was injured. It is worth noting that this was a rather rare phenomenon. Earlier on July 16, 2021, storms and heavy rains caused flooding in several parts of Yemen, and unfortunately, this led to fatalities. 5 governorates of the country were impacted by the force of nature most of all. The flood damaged infrastructure, washed out roads, and destroyed agricultural crops. On July 27th, heavy rains also caused floods and landslides in Bangladesh. Unfortunately, there were casualties. As a result of the disaster, shelters in the Cox's Bazar refugee camps, where up to 900,000 people live, were damaged. There was also damage to crops and aquaculture in other areas of Cox's Bazar.
Около 3000 человек на Коста-Рике.
About 3,000 people in Costa Rica were forced to leave their homes. At the end of July, heavy rains in the Caribbean region led to flooding and serious damage to infrastructure in the north and east of the country. Unfortunately, there were fatalities and there were missing people. A red danger level has been declared in many regions. In the Turalbe area, the monthly precipitation rate fell in just one day. Local authorities know that they were not ready for such an extraordinary event. At the same time, residents of neighboring countries also suffered from floods and record-breaking cold temperatures, as you can see further in the story.
In July 2021, heavy rains led to overflowed rivers, flooding, and landslides in the department of Antioquia, Colombia. Unfortunately, there are casualties. About 6,000 people in total were affected. Dozens of houses and roads were damaged. On July 22nd, torrential rains caused severe flooding in Panama, in the province of Bocas del Toro. Several rivers overflowed their banks. More than 27,000 people were affected in 27 districts of the province. As of July 24th, more than 5,000 homes were flooded. About 1,400 people were placed in temporary shelters. It was also reported about the descent of 5 landslides. At the same time, farmers across Brazil reported a massive loss of crops due to severe frosts that have hit the country since the end of June. The cold affected the lands of sugarcane, coffee, corn, and other agricultural crops from the southernmost state of Rio Grande do Sul to the northern part of Sao Paulo. On July 20th, the cold wave reached its peak and covered the center and south of the country. "We haven't seen such frosts in Brazil for a long time," said a local meteorologist. In the first half of 2021, farmers faced the worst drought in the last 90 years, which also led to a partial loss of crops.
The consequences of climate change have a catastrophic impact on the way of life of people, from everyday issues to scarcity and disappearance of resources. In the current consumer-oriented format of society, this entails tougher living conditions and aggressive struggle for survival. We all need to unite in order to cope with those huge problems that pose an imminent threat to the existence of humanity. On July the 24th, at the conference Global Crisis, this already affects everyone. The truth was voiced that humanity is on the edge of the abyss and we have only one chance of survival left.
It is a great honor for us to welcome you to the International Universal Online Conference, Global Crisis. This already affects everyone. This conference is organized by volunteers from over 180 countries on the platform of ALLATRA International public movement.
The data of the last 20 years on climate change show that we are not ready to respond to the consequences that are coming in the very near future. From the point of view of the social system and social institutions, in principle, everything is being questioned now.
Second is how you're going to feed 7 billion people. Apart from all this stuff we've spoken about, the most important, we have to look after this planet. I'm not a environmentalist. I'm a pragmatic thinker.
The biggest risks that humanity is facing at the moment is that we are wasting a lot of resources on fighting each other and trying to feel superior relative to each other.
That is a dynamic by which certain private actors are taking control of the technology market. And this technology market is making more and more serious decisions about daily lives, access to service, access to work, medicine, health. These should be in the control of democracies and the population, and not technology companies that don't have to provide explanations to anyone.
Think about your grandchildren, the world they're going to live in.
Поэтому сегодня каждый человек, который действительно хочет сделать добро.
That's why today every person who really wants to do good to their children and descendants must do everything possible to build the creative society.
Потому что сегодня вопрос стоит о выживании человечества в целом.
The first step in acquiring change for the global issues at hand is spreading awareness.
Informing is the main and most necessary action now. Everyone has the right to know the truth about the real situation and the imminent threats to the lives of all humankind. Our planet is at the intersection of astronomical cycles. This provokes global climate change and large-scale cataclysms on Earth. In addition, the exploitation of the planet for short-term personal gain calls into question the availability of resources necessary for a person right now.
And by now, we have basically used up most of them. As for what is left, we have mucked it all up. As of today, we have basically killed our planet. It's already in sort of a terminal phase, so to say. It urgently needs resuscitation. Maybe something will work out yet. And here, again, in order to resuscitate our planet, we need certain conditions, and at the same time, technological solutions too. If we restrain the development of technology, how will we resuscitate what is left of our planet? A simple question. This is a double-edged sword. There should be a simple solution here. The simple solution is to change the consumerist format to the creative one. It is the simplest solution today. But again, will people want this? Majority of people do not really see simple elementary things. They don't see what is going on around them. Isn't that so?
Yes, the consumer format of society is arranged in such a way that a person constantly thinks either about how to survive or about how to earn even more. But each of us who cares about their future and the future of their children can start acting now. Share information about the creative society and about the Global Crisis Conference. This already affects everyone. You can find out more on the AllaTraIunites.com website. Thank you for being with us today and see you soon on AllaTra TV.